Afternoon, Patriots. Me again, Shannon Fox here, the Patriots 2 channel. Hope everybody's having a great Friday afternoon. Wanted to bring you a couple stories today and a couple clips I found over off X as well that I thought was very important, relevant stuff. First off, let's talk about the incompetence of Kamala Harris and the Biden administration. There's a couple factors that have been weighed in on in the last couple of, actually about the last 24 hours. Pretty sickening stuff, but I do want to share it with y'all. And then we'll go on to some more lighthearted stuff a little closer to the end. Try not to make it too long for y'all today. I know everybody's busy on the weekends. Um, I am going to go talk to the lady at the local RNC here in town and see if I can get her to do an interview. I've got several questions I would like to ask her, just hopefully to inform some of y'all some of the things that I was always curious about the RNC, about volunteering, what all they do, how they interact with the Secretary of State's office, how they Republican RNC differs from the DNC, local DNCs as well. Just so many questions I have about how politicians run on a local level through the RNC and all their job duties and things. And hopefully, the lady that runs the RNC, the chairwoman here in McLennan County, Waco, Texas, uh, we'll do an interview. If not, I'll let you know. But if you have any questions that you would like to ask someone in the RNC, real good questions, put them in the comments down below. And if I think it's a great question, I'll definitely ask her when I go to do the interview. Supposing she does, go for it. Now let's get into some news. First off, we had Byron Donaldson on Newsmax, and he was just talking about how Kamala Harris is playing these games. And check out, stick around, folks. It actually gets a little weird.
Needs to return to Washington. Earlier this week, the Biden administration approved $157 million for Lebanon, who, by the way, Hezbollah in southern Lebanon is at war with Israel. We've given Lebanon this year alone $385 million. I don't know where that money's coming from. Does Congress need to go back to Washington to make sure that FEMA has the funding that it needs, or can Joe Biden do that and solve that problem with the stroke of a pen?
No, he can do that with the stroke of a pen. There's about $20 billion, as I understand it, in the disaster recovery fund right now. Those resources are plenty for FEMA to carry out its mission. I think the reason why they're grasping for straws is because this administration, like in so many other times, has been a disaster in terms of response to the crisis. That is the failure of the Kamala Harris, Joe Biden administration. And if you look at how Kamala Harris has handled herself, basically trying to push her way into disaster preparedness and recovery. Really, nobody asked her to do that. She basically distracted one of our mayors to shoot a campaign video of her trying to demonstrate that she's leading, or she's demonstrating that she's cosplaying as a leader as opposed to following what Governor DeSantis is doing, which is just leading and not worrying about the campaign commercials. That's the kind of stuff that's really disgusting when you realize that people's lives are on the line.
Yep.
And then when these storms do come in Florida, we're Republicans and Democrats together.
Well, Congressman, I'll just say, too, she is contacted. We've got a soundbite, but I don't need to play it. I'll just take my word for it. She's contacting Democrat mayors throughout the west coast of Florida. And here I am talking to a black congressman who represents a district that was devastated in 2022, was affected by Helene, and is just south of where this hurricane made landfall. It's actually stunning to me. It doesn't surprise me, but I'm stunned that her campaign hasn't reached out to you to make sure everything you've got. There she is calling the Democrat mayor up in Pinellas County, the mayor of St. Petersburg. Shocking, but not surprising. Congressman Byron Donalds.
Real quick, I do, it's important to lay out there, I will lay it out that I think the vice president's team reached out to my office a couple days ago. I've not spoken to her, and that's fine because we have work to do. But I just think when you try to sensationalize these things for your own benefit politically, that's wrong. It's disgusting to everybody.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you mentioning that.
And that's absolutely right. The Republicans seem to be going down to the disaster zone, to the flood affected area, and trying to bring in supplies, make sure we're mobilized to get the water out, get the people back in their homes, get these people's homes rebuilt. This will be a continuous process, going to last probably for a very long time to get back where it needs to be. But the first thing I seen was neighbors and local people from other states, like the Cajun Navy, coming to help. ex-military or former military coming to help because they had access to helicopters and things. There's so many people from the grassroots end of the spectrum that were there to save lives while we were waiting on our government to decide what they were going to do next. It's probably about one of the saddest things I've seen come out of this administration, this regime, outside the Afghanistan withdrawal. Pretty sad as well. But it's even gotten worse. Check this out, folks. When you thought Kamala Harris couldn't get any worse, she says, "Hold my beer," literally. Now check this out. It says pure evil. Volunteers allege Kamala Harris camp ordered National Guard, North Carolina National Guard, to load life-saving supplies on a plane for a photo op with the intent of never actually sending the aid. Now, this is alleged at this point because there's only one person saying this, but let's go ahead and read it together. I'll be doing a lot of squinting, folks. I didn't bring my glasses. Since Kamala Harris committed heinous acts during the Hurricane Helen recovery efforts that combine the worst elements of narcissism and evil, according to the members of a highly respected rescue organization. The Gateway Pundit has extensively reported on a Harris Biden regime's deliberate neglect of the hundreds of Hurricane Helen victims that are not only cruelly refusing aid to these primary rural voters who mostly oppose the regime, had to throw that in there, but are also doling out billions and billions of dollars to illegal aliens straight from the FEMA budget. And that's been confirmed. So adding insult to injury, the Harris Biden regime is offering families that lost everything $750 checks. And it's not just a check, it's a loan. You have to sign an agreement to get it, and they're going to try to take your land if you don't give them the $750 back in due time. That's what I heard from Matt Gaetz over on Twitter. So don't sign for the $750. Don't do it. They're also demanding Congress pony up billions to FEMA and seeking to make them the scapegoat if they fail to come through. That's bullshit right there. That is wrong. We need more money for FEMA because we're spending it all on the illegals. We need money for FEMA to be able to do several things: let in the illegals, bust them in, and occasionally take care of a little disaster relief. But their colossal failure seems to go even deeper. Volunteer Jonathan Howard and Charlie Keeball, members of a nonprofit group, Aerial Recovery, joined former Navy SEAL Shawn Ryan on his podcast, The Shawn Ryan Show, Thursday to detail their experiences with hurricane relief. You're welcome to go watch the full thing on the Shawn Ryan Show. He is another YouTuber, got a huge channel. But I'll play you the clip that was just the most devastating thing you never wanted to hear. Kamala Harris ordered the North Carolina National Guard to load disaster relief onto the cargo plane, take pictures, and then unload it. That's what I'm getting.
And then also from that video, I started getting a lot of messages like to my Instagram from like actual like aircraft commanders, like squadron commanders.
No kidding.
I had a squadron commander from North Carolina reach out to me. They had to load a C-17 full of supplies just to take a photo op for Kamala. And they never sent the bird.
Wait a minute, what?
They loaded an entire C-17 full of supplies for the hurricane victims just for Kamala to go there, take a photo, take a video, and they never sent the C-17. It was just
Are
a
you
full.
serious?
Yeah, that was a National Guard, North Carolina National Guard unit. That was a 06 that reached out to me. And then I had another.
He reached out to you to tell you that they did a photo op and with the intention of never sending.
Never sent it. It was just a photo op.
Damn. That tells you what kind of a candidate for president Kamala Harris is. Showboating, pretending, doing the old Hollywood kabuki theater thing. When people could actually use those supplies, they went as far as loading them on the plane for the photo op, but they couldn't be bothered to go fly them and drop them off. What a piece of crap they are. I cannot say enough horrible things about the Biden administration at this point, the Kamala Harris Democrat communist regime, but they hate the American people. I have to believe that, or they just don't care about us, and it shows every time they're supposed to be doing anything to help. Instead, they're pretending again. It's all Kamala Harris has been doing since day one. She's changed her accent about 6 times now. I've seen her speaking Spanish, I've seen her speak like she's black. I've seen her speak like she's Asian. I mean, she speaks like she's from down south. These people are a bunch of phonies. There's no doubt about it. Kamala Harris is nothing but a puppet in the cogwheel of this whole government scheme. But truth be known, these people do not give a shit about you. So please do not vote for Kamala Harris. My God, we can't do another 4 years of people pretending they care about America. And like I said, folks, if you want to watch the Shawn Ryan show, the full interview is over here on the Gateway Pundit, or it's over on YouTube right here as well. Just look up Shawn Ryan. You'll be able to find it pretty quick. It says, Howard, from that video, I started getting a lot of messages. Okay, we already went through that. It was just about a photo op, folks. That's what it really was really all about for Kamala Harris. I got to do something because people are complaining I ain't been down there yet. Let me go take a picture with some food in my hand or some water bottles behind me. Kind of like the Borders Are thing. She flew over the border, went to 3 of the Triangle countries in Central America, flew back, was the official Borders Are, and never did another thing because she went there to find the root cause of the problem instead of actually deal with the problem. I know y'all remember that. Well, this is another one of those cases. They're pulling an okie doke, a fast one, a Hollywood movie production versus real help for people. It's a shame. I hate to see it. A little bit aggravating, folks. Now, I've got a couple clips here I wanted to bring to y'all that I thought were really good. It's all good news. This right here, let me make sure I'm on the right side of the screen again. Okay, I'm good here. It says, this was a tweet I seen earlier, and I believe this is absolutely true due to the way they changed the law about 6 months ago in Congress. It says, I just realized that when Trump wins, Kamala will be the one to certify the election, and she'll have no recourse, she'll have no recourse to send back the electors because they changed the law to remove that option from the VP. Meaning they thought Pence was going to, they were worried about Pence actually contesting the electors and being able to send the electors back and contest it and all that. Well, they tried to shore up that law months ago so it couldn't be done again. And here we go. It looks like it's going to work against Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris will be the one that has to literally certify Trump's election, and she'll have no choice at this point because they did change the law to remove that option from the VP. She doesn't have that power. What a grand finale that will be. I love it. I love it. That is a checkmate move if I ever seen one. Some of these rule changes they tried to use against Trump going to backfire on them. Now, this here's a funny, and then we got another great video for you here. This is, I think this guy's named Stephen Colbert. I don't watch them late night clowns. I watch a little bit of Gutfeld at time, but Colbert and all them, Jimmy Kimmel, they're disgusting. They're hacks for the left, so I don't watch them. But this was actually a pretty brilliant video somebody put together of part of an interview that Kamala Harris had this week.
A lot of people, especially independent voters, really want this to be a change election, and that they tend to break for you in terms of thinking about change. You are a member of the President administration. Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I know.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
No, you're not.
And so when we think about the significance of what this next generation of leadership looks like, were I to be elected president, it is about, frankly, I love the American people, and I believe in our country. I love that it is our character and nature to be an ambitious people. We have aspirations, we have dreams, we have incredible work ethic, and I just believe that we can create and build upon the success we've achieved in a way that we continue to grow opportunity. And
what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Polling shows.
I love that. Somebody slammed that in with the other clip, edited it up. Great job. I love it. I love it. That was good stuff. I got one more great video clip here for y'all today, folks, and this is good news about Trump. You know, we got all these cases pending on Trump. A lot of them are actually headed to the appeals court at this point. And this guy seems to know what he's talking about. It's a 4 or 5 minute long clip, folks. We'll go ahead and make this the catch of the day. But this guy here says, excellent summary of the lawfare case against Trump that was just crushed by the New York appellate. Incredible, sensible questions by the appellate judges had me in stitches. And if you don't know, the appellate court is the one that will decide the fate of all of Donald Trump's cases, I'm sure, because the appellate court, 5 separate judges, then the actual case judges, they actually get to hear both sides. And in the end, if they're not all in a left-wing city, then there's always a possibility that Trump will win these things on appeal, because the standing on these cases is crazy. They've used lawfare in the worst kind of way, which we all know. All right, let's listen to this guy. He's great. Hold on a second, folks. Let me pull this guy over. That way I'm not in the way. All righty.
So the Trump fraud case went before the appellate court this week, and by the time it was over, the closing arguments of the Democrat lawyers was just them begging to not get sanctioned. So look, many people aren't aware that the Trump fraud case went before the appeals court this week. And if you don't know how an appeals court works, there are 5 judges that sit in judgment for these cases. And they basically let the prosecution and the defense both lay out their cases. And their job is to consider whether or not the case was worth hearing in the first place. And it went so badly for the Democrat lawyers that by the end of it, their closing arguments was just them begging to not get sanctioned. So they argued a ton of different things throughout this case. But the biggest thing was the judges kept interrupting them. They kept saying, hold on. Can you find me one other time in history where the person who took the loan was able to call the bank that they took the loan from, and then that bank showed up and said, we weren't defrauded? And the lawyers spent like 2 hours trying to find one little instance where it happened. But then the judges said, okay, let's try something else. They said, hey, have you ever prosecuted someone for lying about the value of a property when it resulted in the entire loan being paid back with interest? And again, they gave them like 2 hours to try to explain their case, and they still couldn't produce a single case where that had happened. And then the judges said, hey, you know what? We'll give you another shot. They said, have you ever seen an attorney general prosecute a case where there was no damage to the public, there was no damage to the person you said was defrauded, and there was no actual malice committed by the person who took the loan? And then they took another like 6 hours on that one. And by the end of it, the judges were like, so you don't have any instance of that happening? And then by the time they were done, the judges were like, I don't even know if this is a case that should have been brought. And they said, look, y'all might need to be sanctioned for bringing this case in a malicious manner. One of the judges actually said, I have come to believe that since a case like this has never been brought in the history of the country, not only New York, that you have only brought this case because the person was running for president, which would put you afoul of not only multiple regulations regarding the law, but would also run you afoul of electioneering interference. In fact, at the end of it, when they got to give their closing arguments, instead of arguing the value of their case, instead of arguing that like we should have been able to bring this case because of X and Y and all this shit, they actually just said at the end, we hope that the court will take into account that lawyers need to be able to bring cases like this without the threat of sanction. Basically, they were saying, we hope that you decide that we're not going to get in trouble for bringing this bullshit case. That was what happened at the appellate court. So Trump, being found guilty of fraud and having to pay 500 some odd million fucking dollars, and the whole left celebrating about that, he's going to get all that money back because the appellate court was like, this is a bullshit case. The people he took the loan from literally came to court on his behalf and said, hey, we weren't defrauded. We knew he overvalued Mar-a-Lago. We took that into our calculations. And even if we had taken that into our calculations, and the value of Mar-a-Lago was part of 0.14. Like the president of Deutsche Bank said, you know why we gave him the loan? It had nothing to do with the value of Mar-a-Lago. It had to do with we'd given him 21 other loans. And he has paid back all 21 with interest. We were giving him the loan regardless of the value of anything. And that's where the appellate court was like, how do you have a case? Deutsche Bank literally said we were giving him the loan regardless. And that's when they start begging to not get sanctioned. So yeah, that's what happened with the Trump fraud case this week. Going really well for the Democrats.
I love it. I love it. That is good news, folks. Going really well for the Democrats. It does look like the Democrats are on the ropes. They are panicking. They are tripping. They are bringing Barack Obama out to trash his own people. If you call him black, I don't know what nationality he is. I assume he's from Kenya, from what I've heard. But at any rate, Barack Obama is out hitting stops. We've got Waltz and his wife running separate directions, running campaigns. You got Kamala Harris dodging questions, par for the course. And now you've even got Joe Biden talking about the campaign. Folks, they are terrified of what's coming. Even James Carville, who is a Democrat strategist, said, we are screwed. He said he is terrified. That was his word this morning. We are terrified that Trump's going to win. It's not looking good. We've only got 20-something days to change the minds and hearts of a massive percentage of the population, and we ain't going to be able to do it. That's what he said this morning. Ad-libbed a little bit there, but that's the facts of the matter, folks. And it's not just James Carville. It is the entire media apparatus is starting to break down. You can tell just by the things they're talking about. They are talking about Trump is going to win. The polls are showing Trump is going to win. They can't lie for Kamala anymore because they're out of time. 20-something days. It's over. All she wrote, folks. Hope everybody is registered to vote. Your time to register to vote in every state is coming to a deadline end ASAP. If you haven't done it, please go register to vote. Like, subscribe, and share the Vote of Patriots. That's what I got for you today. Hopefully everybody enjoyed. I hope to see you about this time tomorrow as well. May bring you a short if I end up in the boat. Thanks for listening.